Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy. Thy will be done. And in this session, I wanted to talk about one of the chapters that Rich Lavinski and I wrote on our new book, 100,000 Successful Hires. It is so popular, we're into our second edition. And the topic of this, or the title of this chapter, and the topic today this evening is why people have so many jobs. We spend so much of our time as recruiters defending on why candidates have had so many jobs. Hiring authorities assume that if a candidate's had too many jobs, what they consider to be too many jobs, they are not good candidates. And it seems to mean a lot. And it seems to be that if a candidate's had 3 jobs in 3 years, an employer is going to assume they're going to be on their job for only 1 year. We've known hundreds of managers over the years who simply won't even consider interviewing candidates who have had more than a couple of jobs in a couple of years. So the question is, does that mean that they are poor candidates? Does that mean they're not good employees? Well, maybe that is sometimes, but the fact is that there are a lot of overriding issues that come into play in this situation than have ever come before. When McKinsey found that the average Standard & Poor's Fortune 500 company in 1958 was 61 years old. When I got in this business in 1973, the average Standard & Poor's company was 59 years old. And last year, McKinsey predicted that the average S&P 500 company will only be 18 years old in 2027. And they predict that 75% of those companies are going to be gone by 2027. Aside from the S&P 500 companies, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the average business in the United States only stays in business 6.8 years. So what this says is that companies and people that work for them expand and contract more so than they ever have. There are all kinds of reasons that these companies expand and contract, but they don't normally have anything to do with the employees that work for them, but it does affect the employees that work for them. Let's face it, it's a lot easier to open a business these days than it ever has been, even in the 1980s and 1990s. The average company in the United States only has 16 employees, according to the BLS. And that number hasn't changed for 20 years. Small businesses have a tremendous amount of risk and nowhere near the stability and ability to survive recessions. More than 550,000 small businesses open and close each year, according to the BLS. Now, the average job in the United States only lasts 2.5 years. Statistics say that in 2016, the average turnover in the United States in companies was 42%. In 2019, it was 45%. In 2020, it was 57%. Up until recently, the average turnover in the United States was about 30%. As you can see, things have changed a lot. Now, the reasons for this kind of turnover are really interesting. According to the BLS, 25% of the turnover is voluntary. 29% of the turnover is involuntary. Layoffs, budget cuts, firings. So when you look at a candidate that's just had too many jobs, it's a lot more complicated than it used to be. Prejudging a candidate because of the number of jobs may not be fair, especially to a hiring organization. The most important thing that a hiring authority can do is to find out why candidates have left those jobs. Find out the reasons. Now, it doesn't come as any surprise that their reasons for leaving a job may not sound particularly good, or they may even not tell the truth about it. So, okay, I admit that that may happen. So the thing to do is to simply check on and find out through reference checking why the candidate left the company that they worked for. Simply check the references, find out the reasons. There are lots of reasons of why people leave jobs, and it's more erratic than it has ever been. So the idea of too many jobs may not be the same as it was even 10 years ago. One of the vice presidents that we worked with for a number of years was 10 years at his same place. He has had 3 jobs in the last 3 years. He was the kind of guy that never wanted to interview a candidate that had more than 2 jobs in the last 3 or 4 years. Well, he's changed his tune because the 3 jobs that he's had went away and the reasons had nothing to do with him. So think about it. Too many jobs means a lot differently today than it did a few years ago. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Beshara with the Job Search Solution.